Well, good afternoon, Chatswood. Here we are again. We were here yesterday. Many people gave their life to Jesus. It's a wonderful thing, and we're here again today. We're here to preach a little bit, and we're here to call people, to invite people in to get their heart in right standing with their Creator. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people come from different backgrounds, different religions, different nations. Not everyone understands. A lot of people walk by with that blank look on their face. A lot of people reject. But we're here anyway for those who God is drawing by His Spirit today. And this is the day of salvation for a number of people. It's all we can do is be obedient to God, come out on the street and do things that we believe in accordance with His will. So today we're going to talk about Matthew 5. And many people know that Matthew 5 is Jesus preaching the Sermon on the Mount. And what we need to understand about this is, or the questions we need to ask is, why was Jesus so sharp? Why did He raise the bar so high concerning the law? And I'm just going to read a summary of it. It's too long to read the whole thing, but we don't have time for that today, but we're going to read a summary of what Jesus, basically what He said in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, obey every part of the law, don't leave anything out, surpass the Pharisees and win against them. Anger every time you get angry, it's like killing someone. Call anybody a fool, and you know what, you're going to be hell-bound. You're in danger of the fires of hell. I want you to notice hell is threatened. This is not a sweet passage. Hell is threatened 3 times. Now he goes on and he says, this is Jesus speaking on the Sermon on the Mount, looking with lust equals adultery. Pluck out your eye, cut off your hand. Divorce is adultery. Always keep your word. Let people beat you up and give you to whatever asked of you. Love your enemies. And if you didn't understand what Jesus is trying to say here, He's saying just be perfect like God. So we're going to call this the impossible teachings of Jesus Christ. All those things that I've said there, I defy anybody to be able to keep them, to be able to do them. It's far too high. The bar is far too high. It's like Moses 2.0. It's the updated version of the law. It's been raised to a higher level. Why did Jesus do that? We already know that the Jews could not keep the law perfectly, as hard as they tried and as much willpower and determination and discipline that they used, which only really ended up in self-righteousness. And they still missed out, because it says in James, if you break one of the laws, you've broken them all. So it's impossible. They are impossible teachings that Jesus came up with on the Sermon on the Mount. So who was all this directed at? Why did Jesus bother? Was Jesus wrong? Did he not mean what He said? And a lot of Christian circles, you hear it bandied around, Jesus didn't really mean pluck out your eye. He didn't really mean cut off your hand. He didn't really mean if you look at a woman with lust, you've committed adultery. And they pick and choose and they water down what Jesus said. They have a smorgasbord. They pick and choose what suits them, how many laws they're going to keep. Will I forget about the Sabbath and I'll get another one to replace it, and I'll make up the 10 commandments for myself? I'll take one out, put another one in, like the Catholic Church about idolatry, the 2nd commandment. So why is all that important? Who is it aimed at? Who is the audience? Was Jesus talking to believers? New covenant believers? Was He talking to unbelievers? Was He talking to the Pharisees of the day, the Jews of the day? Who was He talking to? What is the context of the Sermon on the Mount? What is the context? So we have to have a look at it, because if we try and live up to this, and many people do, many Christians say, oh, I'm going to live up to it, I'm going to do my very best, I'm going to work hard at being a good Christian, I'm going to show people how Christianity should be. They'll take a witness from me because I'm using the example of Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount. Remember what James said, if you break one of the laws, you've broken them all. So the audience was, Jesus had not yet gone to the cross. He had not yet put in force the new covenant. He had not yet shed his innocent blood. He was speaking to the self-righteous Pharisees of the day, the Jews. And he raised the bar to a level that is impossible. So those that had been working their insides out, trying to be self-righteous, trying to show off that they are keeping the law, he took the bar higher to an impossible level. Why did he do that? Because they needed to be driven toward grace, like all of us. It's not about works, it's about grace. It's not about keeping the law, it's about the grace of God. So, who is the audience? The audience was the Jews. He had to show them that we could not keep the law, not one bit of it. Everything we do, we break the law. We break the law. We need his grace. So Jesus went on to say this, Matthew 5, and after the Sermon on the Mount, verse 17, it was there for the law to drive us toward grace, to drive every person, every believer and every unbeliever. There's only two categories in the world. You're either in Adam or you're in Jesus. And for everybody, this message is showing the impossibility of living perfectly by the law. Salvation comes by the law. There's nothing wrong with the law. The fault lies with us. We cannot keep the law. If we could keep the law, everybody would be saved who keeps the law perfectly. But it's impossible. That's why we need the grace of God. There was only one person who walked the face of this earth who could perfectly keep the law, and that was Jesus Christ himself. This is why he showed the impossibility of this teaching. He said, don't try. And this is the message to traditional church. It's the message to new believers. It's a message to people who've been believers for a while. And it's a message to those who do not yet know Jesus. We do not try to be good people. We do not try to keep the law because it's impossible. It's a very important message. This is why God had to bring in the new covenant.